notes. This is what you do when you do your speaking engagements. Rama, if you don't mind, if you can hand out cards to everyone. So if you all have been a part of any of my, first of all, let me say thank you all for inviting me to speak today. It's such an honor to be at the 2024 ISSA event. I'm truly honored. I pray that by the time this is over, when you all walk out of this room, that you feel completely transformed. That's my prayer. So if anyone's been a part of any of my speaking events, if you've seen me do what I do, this is not entertainment. And you don't get to just sit and watch me for 30, 45 minutes speak. It doesn't work like that. For those of you who may know about my podcast or maybe even my mentorship program, I get very involved. I like it to be like a workshop environment. So right now, Rama is handing out to each and every one of you a card. I think she's going to give you two. Rama, if you can give everyone two of those. If you all can get a pen out real quick, because we're going to be doing some activities. As many of you know, today we're going to be talking about, so what in the world are you going to do with this precious time you've been given? What in the world are you going to do with this precious time? Do I have my clock going now? So I have a clock. This is how much I love you all. I actually went and purchased this clock that you're seeing in front of you just to nail a point. So I have this large countdown clock that should be going now. Is it going now? And I want to keep this going throughout this entire presentation because I want you all to be aware of how incredibly precious this time is that you've been given. Now, I have a couple rules of thumb. If any of you have heard me speak before, you know that this is very important to me. Number one, you do not get to bring any of your titles into this room. And I know I have some CEOs in here, I have some executives, I have some presidents, I have some lawyers, I have some recruiters, some sales execs. This room is filled with a number of people. But when you're inside of this room, or any session I conduct for that matter, you don't get to bring those titles in the room. So I need you to mentally make the adjustment right now. Your titles are at the door. Your degree, I don't care if you have a doctor's, a master's, a bachelor's, or never spent a day in college in your life. Your degrees are at the door. Can we all agree on that? Everything is at the door. You don't get to bring those titles into the room. So that's one of my rules. The other thing is I want you to show up and be present right now. Okay? Leave the degrees at the door. Leave the titles at the door. Turn your phones off. You guys know how we get to checking messages and doing some things. Just give yourself time to learn something that I pray is going to change the rest of your life. I do want to say one thing. I am live streaming right now. Just want to repeat that again. So if you do stand up and speak, because this is going to be a participatory session, just be aware that I'm live streaming. So just be a little aware of what you say. You're not being video recorded at all, but perhaps, maybe, just perhaps, maybe your voice can be heard. So everyone has your 3x5 cards. Do we all have these? Right? Everyone has them? Okay, first I want to start off with a question. I want you all to think of, and hello everyone that's live streaming with me. I want you all to think of right now, what is the most expensive thing that you own? You don't need to yell it out loud because you don't want anybody coming to your house, right? But what's the most expensive thing that you own? You know, could be a diamond, could be, I don't know, I didn't grow up with much, so. But anyway, could be a pair of shoes, a purse or something. I want you to think of what's the most expensive thing that you own? Just lock that in your head for 1 second. The most expensive thing that you can think of that you own. And now my question is, what exactly do you do to protect it? Because after all, it is expensive, right? So what do you actually do to protect that real expensive thing that you have? So just think about that. And actually, you guys can just yell it out. What are some of the things you do to protect the most expensive thing that you own? Okay, someone said insurance. What else do you do? You lock it up. What else do you do? Come on, you guys. Maintenance on it, right? So what if I offered you $10 for it? Would you give it to me? Why not? So I want you to remember those words because I'm going to come back to you. So you just told me that the most expensive thing that you own, you just said you wouldn't give it to me for $10 because it has high value. That's what you just told me. Am I right? And some of you all just told me you lock it up, right? You take good care of it, right? I need for you to really lock in and remember those words that you just told me, okay? All right. I want you to take out your cards. I want everyone to write 10 circles on the front of one of those cards. 10 circles. 10 circles. I see some more people coming into the room. So small, you can write them pretty large, but do your best to keep those circles at the top of the card. For those of you who are streaming with me, feel free to follow along. 10 circles. I would like for everyone to do this. 10 circles on that card. Let me grab my glasses. So when you get in your 50s and 60s like me, it becomes harder to see sometimes. So you guys just told me the most expensive thing that you own. Interesting. You won't take $10 for it, right? You value it, you keep it up, you do maintenance on it. That's interesting. So these 10 circles that you just wrote on your card, I need everyone to really listen to this. I want you to consider each of those circles as 10 years of life. Look at that card. Each circle is 10 years. Now, you and I, everyone in this room knows, I don't even know too many people that's 100 years of age. But I don't like to discourage anyone. And whenever I teach a class or do mentorship or speak or do a number of things that I do now, I always like to leave people feeling encouraged and built up. So I was gonna have you write about 7 or 8 circles, but then I thought I don't want some people in this room crying, so we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna assume everybody in this room is gonna live to be 100 years of age. Now, again, you all know, if you look up the average life age expectancy, I'm being extremely generous, am I not? Each of those years on your card is worth 10 years. Now what I'd like you to do, be honest with yourself. Based on your age, circle in those circles. So in my case, I'm not 60 just yet. I'm gonna circle in about 5.5 of those circles. Now, for those of you who are like, I don't want somebody knowing my age, you're not gonna hand this card in to anybody, right? And if you don't wanna put your real age on there, do you, whatever works for you. You know, this is just for you. But I want you to take your time and circle those circles in and take this seriously, you guys. I only have you for about another 35 minutes. And I pray to God by the time you leave out of this room, you can say, if there's one thing I learned from this conference, I learned to value my time. Circle it in. So if you're, let's say 55, for example, you'll do 5.5 of those circles. Does that make sense? I need everyone to participate. This is not entertainment. You guys are not here to watch me. You're here to be transformed in this little bit, 30, 40 minutes. Now, what's interesting about these circles is, can we buy more of them? We can't buy any more. I wish to God we could. I don't care how much money you have in your bank account. I don't care how much your company makes. I don't care if you're president, a CEO, a director, or you don't have a dime to your name, and I know there's a mixture of all of those people in this room right now. You cannot buy any more time. You're not cute enough to buy more time. There's nothing that you can do. We all come with our preset set of circles, and what's interesting about these circles, I was thinking about this last night when I was praying. We don't even have a guarantee that the remaining circles are there. My God. We do not have a guarantee. Look at those circles on your card again, you guys. Pay attention to the clock that's ticking in front of you. And the reason I'm going to keep referring you back to this clock that's ticking in front of you, you all are not able to see the clock, but I have a countdown in front of me. The reason I want you to keep looking at that is because you won't even get this time back. You will never in your life, I don't care how talented you are, I don't care how cute you are, I don't care how, whatever it is you're going through, you would never in your life get this day back nor this moment back again. So that clock that's ticking on the floor right there in front of you, you won't see this day again. Are we all in agreement so far? Yes. My goodness. So, I have an offer for you. If I stood here, if I had a check, let's assume this is a real check. First of all, it's not even a check, but let's assume this is a check. If I put this check up here and this is a real check and I said, I would like to give whoever wants it in this room $5 million. No strings attached. Who wants it? Raise your hand. Right? $5 million. If I said, come on up and get this check, right? Right? If I said, I want to give you $5 million. There's some stipulations to this though. So if I offered everyone in this room a check for $5 million, just about every hand went up. You guys said, Z, absolutely, I would come get it. Thank you very much. You know, it's my family. They would say, to God be the glory. But, you know, so here's my question for you. What if there were some strings attached to this check? So you walk up here to get this check. It's about to change my life, Z. This check is not transferable. So you don't get to turn around and give it to your daughter, your son, your kids, whoever, you know. I'm going to have generational blessings for my family. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No. You don't get to transfer it to anyone. You're the only one that can spend it. You're the only one that can spend it. Nobody else can spend it. So would you still come and get the check? Is that okay? Right? I see some heads shaking. You guys like, yeah, that's cool with me. I'm not giving it to nobody anyway. That's the look that you have on your face. Okay, so the point is, if I offered a $5 million check to you right now, and you all, this is hypothetical because you know how social media gets, but anyway, hypothetical, you're saying to me that you would come and get this check right now. But the string attached is, you cannot transfer it. So you don't get to give it to your mama and your kids and all of that. You're the only one that can spend it. Now, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you all. You all just told me that, Z, okay, a little interesting, but I would still come get that check. Am I right? Show of hands. All right, just for you all, as you're aware, most of the hands are up in the room. But I got another string I want attached to it. I got another string I want attached. As you come up here to get this $5 million hypothetical check, I get to keep all your circles. You don't get the circles anymore. If I offered you a $5 million check, and I said to you, you can have it, but the exchange is, I get to keep those circles. For those of you who are just joining, the circles represent the amount of years we have left in life. I get to keep the circles. How many of you would come and get this check now? That's so interesting. I don't see any hands going up, but it's $5 million. You just said you can spend it. Where are your hands? It's $5 million. The only stipulation I put on it initially is that you can't transfer it. Only you can spend it. You can't give it to anyone. And you said, Z, that's cool. I'll still get it. And now the only stipulation I put on that is, but you got to exchange it for all your circles, all your time left. So what if I upped it to 10 million? Let me see if a hand will go up. 10 million. 10 million. I just get to keep the rest of all of those circles. I don't see any hands up. That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna make this a lot better, because you guys seem to be just looking now. What if it was 50 million? A $50 million check. Only you get to spend it, but it's in exchange for all the time you have left. Who would run up here and get that check right now? I find it very interesting. Oh, we're about to have some fun, you guys. We're only beginning. I find it very interesting that you value your precious time more than $50 million. Hold on, but with no guarantee that you even have all those circles left. And you can't even buy more circles. Look at your card again. So as you're looking at that card, you're telling me those little empty circles you have left on your card, for those of you who are streaming, you'll have to watch later to catch up to see what we're referring to. But those 10 circles I had you drew, each of those 10 circles representing 10 years of life. And then I had you shade in all of the years according to your age. So if you're 60 years old, 60 of those circles should be shaded in. You're trying to tell me that those extra little circles you have left, those itty bitty little circles you have written on that card, you guys are trying to tell me that's worth more than $50 million, or am I mistaken? Okay, so let's keep this going now. So since this time is so valuable, I'm really interested in what are you trading that time for? That's what I want to know. Since it's that valuable, and you just said, Z, hold on, I would take a check for $5, $10, $50 million, but wait. If you're telling me I've got to exchange the rest of my time for it, keep it. You're telling me those few circles you have left on your card is worth more than 5, 10, 50. In fact, you're telling me that it's priceless. Am I right? Show of hands. That's what you're telling me? So let's talk a little bit about how you're using that precious time. I want you all to make one statement. I want you to say, I'm giving myself permission to dream again. I like to hear everyone say that. Everyone say those words. I'm giving myself permission to dream again. Okay, I just want those words to come out. The reason I want those words to come out, I'm giving you a little bit of a warning. The exercise we're about to do right now, and I've done this exercise many times before, I've noticed it's very difficult for people to step outside of their current situation and go to what I call a finally moment. In other words, on the other side of that mountain, like finally I'm whatever, it could be debt free, or finally I'm doing what I've desired to do in life, or what have you. So I'm gonna give you a tiny edited miniature version of an exercise that I've done quite a bit in many of my mentorship sessions and workshops that I conduct now. So I have a question for you all. I want you to write this down. I believe that everyone is born with a seed inside to plant, to grow. In other words, I believe we all have a set purpose. And what I want you to do, because you just said you're giving yourself permission to dream again, what is it that's summoning you? Let me explain what I mean by summon. What is it that calls you? What is it that, what is that one thing that, gosh, Z, if money wasn't an issue, if all of these things in life wasn't going on, this is just that one thing that I know I would just love to do. And I've not put it into action yet, but I would love to do that. So let me use myself as an example. It summons me to stand here before you now and speak life into you. I'm called to do it. When I hear someone talking about giving up in life or going through difficult times, or perhaps they've had a tremendous loss, or God forbid, like myself, I lost my son. We'll get into that a little bit later, right? Or going through, marriage issues, financial issues, you name it. It doesn't have to be all negative. It also could be, gosh, I'm just at a stage in life, I just don't know what to do. I'm summoned. There's something in me that calls me. Does that make sense? We'll talk a little bit more about that later. There's a chapter in my book. I wrote a book called Necessary. There's a chapter in my book called If Greatness Could Speak. And I think some of you joined me for the annual holiday event we had. I may have read just a tiny bit from that chapter. But there's something that calls me to do what I'm doing right now. This isn't difficult standing before you right now. This is actually very easy for me. Someone said to me yesterday, Z, what are you going to speak about tomorrow? I said, girl, let her come to me. And she, what do you mean? You're one of, I said, I'm summoned. I'm called to do this because it oozes out of me. Does that make sense? So I want you all to write down on that card. You have your circles, right? You can turn your card over. You can write at the bottom of it if you want. I want you to write. Be honest with yourself. Give yourself permission to dream just for a moment. Now, when you leave out of this room, hold on. You get to put your hats back on. You get to be CEO again, president again, whatever, recruiter, sales rep, mother, daughter, sister, all of those titles. But in this room, as I said before, especially for those of some of you in the back who just came in, you don't get to bring any of those titles into this room. So right now, if you give yourself permission to dream again, I just want you to go there for a moment. Many of my podcast subscribers know I call that my finally moment. What is your finally moment? And whenever I conduct this exercise, there's always a lot of tears in the room. I want you to give yourself permission of being in that spot of, this is the dream that's been calling me. And Z, and you're going to be, here's the temptation you're going to have. There's going to be such a heavy temptation to only go there for just a moment, because for some people it hurts to even go there because that dream is so far-fetched. Life is just, it's like, Z, I tried it, it didn't work. Or Z, I'm too old to be thinking about that now. Or there's no way that can happen. I want you to be aware of your paradigms. I'm not going to go into much detail about that. But your body is built to protect you and keep you safe. Your body is built to keep you in this safe place. So give yourself permission right now. You're going to have to train your conscious and subconscious mind. Give yourself permission just for a little bit. Because you said I give myself permission to dream. To go there for a moment and be open and honest with yourself. What is it that's calling you? What's that dream? What's that one thing that, oh my gosh, this is my finally moment. If I could do this for the rest of my life, I'd be so happy. I want you to write that down. Whatever that is, I want you to write it down. I'll give you all a minute. For those of you who are following along, I think it'd be great for you all to participate in this exercise as much. They're taking a moment to write down what is it that's summoning them. Some people are saying make music and help the world to be a better place. Okay, I like that, baby. What else you got to say? What's summoning you? Be very honest with yourself. Write it down. What is it that's calling you? I don't care how old that dream is. For some of you, it can have something to do that has absolutely nothing to do with your career. Hello, right? Nothing to do with your degree. Some of you, it may seem impossible, but I want you to write it down. Now, to the one or two brave souls who want to stand and say what they wrote down, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Necessary. This is not a promotion. I just want to make this comment. Necessary really takes you on a tremendous transformation journey to figure out all of these things that I'm talking to you about right now. But who wants to be the brave person to stand? You're not on camera, by the way. Oh, your hand went up right away. Go ahead and stand. Who wants to be the brave person to stand? Go ahead. Do we have a microphone? No, we don't. It's okay. Just speak loud. Can you give yourself permission to be open and honest about what is it that's summoning you?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
I want to be able to connect and help people with whatever, like, direction that's guided. Like, I don't know if you guys recognize me in there. It's like, like, I feel like everybody's human, and it's nice to know that there's human connection and interaction.
Yes.
Like, my daughter's child friends come and talk to me. So I connect.
So almost like a mentor, like a mentor, counselor, a coach, or?
I'm a parent, but not their parent.
Okay.
So you know how there's fear with your kids not wanting to talk to you?
Yes.
But knowing that you have another parent that you can go to for safety and
guidance,
guidance, knowing that I'm not going to tell your mom,
yes,
but I will if it's a
okay,
serious life or death matter.
Okay. I appreciate that. For those of you who are listening, she said she wants to be the person that people are coming to. They can express what they're going through. You basically want to help people is what I'm hearing you say, right? And the titles don't really matter with what I'm hearing from you, whether that's a mentor or what have you, but it seems like that, so that's what calls you to be able to help people. Okay. Please come and get a copy of my book. It's right here. You can come up and get one. Yes. So what is it that summons you? Come on, Kimberly. What is it that summons you? Be open and honest about what is it that's calling your name.
Good morning. So my dream is to retire and spend the rest of my circles with my husband in a beautiful place where we can golf and swim every day.
Love that. Love that. Kimberly's totally relaxation, right? That's what summons you. That's your calling. Coming up and grab one of these books real quick. Love it. I saw one more hand go up. What is it that's summoning you? And I'm turning right now to one portion in here I'm going to be reading a little later. If Greatness Could Speak, which is page 232. I'm going to be turning there. What is it that's summoning you? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a vision, very vivid vision when I was a young man of a large building. I had like a river of people coming out of it. And my whole life is an attempt for that.
Wow.
And ups and downs, but vision, the depth of the vision, even the emotions I feel down.
Yeah, that's because you're in that spot right now. If I had more time to do this exercise when I talk about what is it that summons you, no, I'm going to have you keep standing because I want you to talk a little bit more. So for those of you who are streaming online, we're talking about what is it that's summoning you, what is it that's calling you, right? We just conducted an exercise where everyone was to write down on a sheet of paper 10 circles, each circle representing 10 years of life, right? And we only have so many circles left. And you all said that time is more valuable than even a check that's worth $5, $10, $50 million, right? Now I just asked you to give yourself permission to dream again. And you just said since you were a child, you had a dream, right? Or vision of some sort of a building, and a lot of people were coming. So what I would ask you to do is sit in that space a little bit longer. What were you doing? What were you doing? Were you ministering to people? Was it a retreat environment, or?
It was like a staffing company, but now with homeless and building people up, and
Oh my gosh. Hold on, let's say that again. Did you say a staffing?
A staffing business.
A staffing business, but you said, but it was all about building people up?
Yeah, building the employees up and producing wholeness, you know.
Building employees up, producing wholeness, And I can tell that you're really passionate about that. You feel that as you're saying because you care about people.
Right.
So building them up, okay? All right, excellent. Please come get a book. Thank you for sharing that. So we just had 3 amazing people share, right? What is it that's summoning you, that's calling you? So my question to you all is, take a look at what you wrote down on that 3x5 card. You all, as a reminder, those circles that we wrote down on that little 3x5, we do not get more time. I really, really wish we did. I wish I was lying to you. And I really wish we can purchase it, right? We only have what's left on that. So now that you've just walked through this exercise, and again, I'm going faster than I normally would go. What are some of the things that's calling you? I see some tears in the room right now. It's okay to have those tears because we're human. Sometimes those tears come because we're not living out our purpose. We're not doing what we're put here to do, and we feel stuck. But yet I want to bring you guys back full circle. You all told me that you would not take a check for $50 million if you had to exchange your time, because that's how precious it is. So my question to you, this is my second question, is what is stopping you? What is stopping you from pursuing that dream or that gift or that goal, whatever it is that's inside of you? What's stopping you? I want you to be honest with yourself. Get your card out, write that down. What's stopping you? We're going to do a wonderful exercise in a minute. How much time do we have left? 15? Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that gives us just a little bit of time to do this exercise that I've done with many people from all around the world. What's stopping you from using this precious little bit of time you've been given? What's stopping you? My God. You guys see this clock that's ticking down in front of us? You're not going to get these seconds back. So I want to do an exercise, and I would like for everyone to participate in this exercise that we're about to do. I'm going to do my best to do it as short as I can, but I've done it many times before. There's an exercise that I've given many times. It's called Get Unstuck. And I love this exercise because I actually walk through this myself whenever I can be in a staff meeting. It never fails. If we're stuck on something, I'll literally say, okay, let's go through this exercise. So here's what I do. Here's what I want you all to do. I want you all to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine a stranger just walked into the room. And this stranger is not intimidated. This stranger has already won with the cards that you've been dealt. You got to keep that in mind. This stranger is very strong-willed. This stranger figures it out. So this stranger, it could be anyone that you respect, maybe someone you really admire, you look up to, but this person is one of those make it happen people, you know? So imagine this stranger just came and stood right next to you. In this case, sat right next to you right now. I'm going to give you 1 minute to close your eyes and tell this stranger what this dream or this goal is that you know you've been born to do, right? And why you have not taken the steps to put it into action. So you're having a conversation. It's almost a conversation inside of your head, to be honest with you. A person is sitting next to you. Pull out your card, and I simply want you to read to this person. You can do it inside of your mind. What is this dream, this goal, and what is stopping you? So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. You all can participate as well online. So for those who are watching online, they're taking a minute just to imagine a stranger next to them. You all know we've done this exercise. Sometimes it's called Get Unstuck. Imagine a stranger sitting next to you, and you're telling this stranger, here's why. Here's my goal. Here's what I want to accomplish. And here's why I haven't done it. Got it? Now here's the good part about this exercise. Now, this stranger is getting ready to talk to you now. Just follow me. I know it sounds weird, but this works. This stranger is getting ready to tell you exactly what he or she did to win with the cards that you've been dealt. And let me say this again. This stranger has already won with the cards that you've been dealt. So for example, I could easily say to this stranger, I could have said in the past, right? I don't have the money, and this is true, my story, I grew up poor. My mother had me very young. We were welfare my whole life. I experienced significant amount of abuse, right? Marriage was very difficult, up and down financially. I lost my son. Life has been hard, right? So I can't go do this or that. And the stranger then is telling me, well, here's what I did, because you're not the only one that went through that situation. So this stranger now is talking to you. You do not get to interrupt this stranger and say, but. You don't get to interrupt this stranger and say, but that can't happen. You don't get to interrupt this stranger and say, but I already tried. You don't get to do that, because when this stranger starts talking, to you, your only job is to sit and take notes. Get out that other 3x5 card that you've been given. Now I want to talk a little bit about paradigms. Paradigms are nothing but a whole system of habits, and you've got to get rid of this cage mindset. Everything in your nature is going to want you to fight what this stranger is about to tell you. You've got to set that aside, and you've got to listen to whatever the stranger is telling you. Again, this stranger is very reasonable. This stranger has strong willpower. This stranger has already won with the cards you've been dealt. The only thing you get to do is take notes, because this stranger is going to tell you, I need you to sit down and be still for a moment. Since this time is so valuable, since you didn't walk your butt up there and take that $50 million check from her, because you said it's just that valuable to you. Okay, I'm looking at you now. Since it's that valuable to you, I see some tears, and it's okay to have tears in this room. Since this little precious time of yours is so valuable, what the heck are you trading it in for? So now this stranger is just going to give it to you straight and says, here is what I did with the cards that you've been dealt. No more excuses. This is what I did. And I want you to sit and just take notes on everything this stranger is telling you that he or she did to accomplish that goal or that vision. You do not get to put your opinion in this. You only get to listen. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to have that private conversation with this stranger who's sitting next to you. And this stranger don't care how old you are, how much money or how little money you got, but what your story is. We all have a story by God. I speak to almost 1 million people. I get it. We all have a story. And you don't get to tell this stranger to be quiet. 3 minutes. Write down what this stranger is saying to you. This is what I did to win with the cards you've been dealt. Since you say your time's so valuable, here's what I did. Listen and write it down. For those of you streaming online, I encourage you all to participate. You should have your cards out. You should be listening to what the stranger is telling you. You shouldn't be typing or putting anything into the comments right now. Listen to what this stranger is telling you. Okay, I'm seeing some great comments coming through. And by the way, this exercise is an exercise I call Get Unstuck. You guys have about another 1.5 minutes. For those of you who are just joining or just coming into the room, we're talking about what are you going to do with the precious time you have left. So while you all are doing that, I'm going to read one little section from chapter 20 from my book, If Greatness Could Speak. When you were with me through the holiday season, I read an affirmation, but I'm going to take this moment to read this while you're still writing down what this stranger is telling you. This is from chapter 20, If Greatness Could Speak. I thought I was supposed to stoop low and pretend greatness wasn't inside of me so others could feel good about themselves. It didn't work. Somehow, I thought I would receive more love and acceptance from others if I hid my gifts and talents and remained less than who I was created to be. That didn't work either. So I hid greatness under a bowl, and only when no one was around would I peek inside to see if her light was burning. She burned low for many years as she waited for me to develop the courage to let her shine. I did my best to ignore her tantrums as I kept her hidden, out of sight, protected from criticism. I knew if she ever fully came forth and showed herself to the world, nothing would ever be the same, because while her presence inspires many people, it also invites criticism, which is what I know is holding some of you back. It invites envy from naysayers and from those who choose to remain stagnant. She challenges the status quo with no apologies. She not only changes the atmosphere wherever she goes, but you must change to remain in her presence. Despite my best efforts to keep her hidden and locked away, her tantrums grew louder. Her desire to shine could no longer be tucked away. Greatness began to wrestle with me in the middle of the night by reminding me she was never created to remain hidden, and I was created to bring her forth. That's just a small snippet from Necessary. I would like one brave soul to stand up and let us know, what did the stranger say to you? And whoever stands up, do I have any more books down there, Rama? If I don't, I'll give them this one. No more? Okay, so you'll get the one I just read and I'll make sure I autograph it. Okay, come on, Monica. You know I gotta have you.
I bought your book before and I left it there.
Ah, that's okay. Come on in. So I want to know, what did this stranger say to you, my dear friend? Go ahead.
Just start putting thoughts and stories on paper.
Oh, come on.
Don't even order it or worry about the title. God will lead you and trust you. Just trust.
Can you read that again? And I want to read it behind you so that I can reiterate that.
Just start putting thoughts and stories on paper.
Just start putting thoughts and stories on paper. Keep going.
Don't even order it
Don't even order.
or worry about the title.
Or worry about the title.
God will teach and lead you.
God will teach and lead you.
Just trust.
Just trust. That's what this stranger's telling you. You all, the stranger is greatness speaking inside of you. Now, I understand this isn't a Bible study. I understand that, because you guys, I can throw some scriptures in a heartbeat, but I understand this is a corporate event. I would dare say the stranger is God speaking to you. But greatness has always been inside of you, is who you are. So my question to you all, am I up with time? Is it just, a couple minutes left, just a few? My question to you all is, so, what decision are you going to make when you look at all of those notes that this stranger just told you, which is really yourself coming forth and giving you these answers? When you look at that, what massive action are you going to take to make good of this very expensive, precious time you've been given? You guys just said you would not take a $50 million check from me if you had to exchange it for your time. Greatness just sat next to you and said, okay, since this time is so doggone valuable to you, right? Since it's so valuable, here's what I did to win with those cards you've been dealt. So I pray that when you all leave out of this room or go back home tonight, I see some tears in here. I pray that you all go back through this and really spend some time on this. I do this exercise over and over and over again. It's actually available on my website at unlockinggreatness.com. It's a free exercise. It's just called Get Unstuck. So you can take this over again and again and again. But I want you all to be aware your time is so precious. So what are you exchanging that precious time for? I want to end just by telling a little quick story. Just give me one more minute and I'll wrap it up. And you'll be able to put your titles back on as you walk out the room. You'll be able to be CEO again and president again, or whatever your titles are the moment you step out of these doors. But let me tell you all a little story. A couple years ago, I was at the office interviewing someone, trying to close a deal, recruiting, doing whatever. And I get a call from my husband. Our son had a bone marrow transplant. He had sickle cell disease. And he suffered with this his entire life. It was very rare that we can even go 2 weeks without being in the hospital. This is his entire life. So if we went a month without being in ER, that was like a miracle. But it got to a point we had a bone marrow transplant. I'll fast forward to the end. Unfortunately, he began to reject his transplant at the age of 23. And in my book, Necessary, chapter 23 is all about him. I was at the office interviewing someone and working on a deal when my husband called me and said, you got to rush to ER. Because I just had to rush him there. And he's basically at this point a vegetable. I'm like, I just was talking to him that morning. I had just told him, son, make sure you take your medicine. Because when you get a transplant, if anyone's ever had a stem cell transplant, it's a gazillion things you got to do to take care of them. It's just, you just wouldn't believe. But anywho, what's interesting about this story, I'm just going to jump to the end. I don't even remember the deal that I was working on or the person I was interviewing, or if we got the placement or not. I don't even remember. All I remember is getting a call and knowing what was going on, and by the time I got to the hospital, it was too late. And so we were there in just enough time to sit next to him and hold his hand as he's taking his last breath. I can't go buy more circles for him. I wish to God I would give my entire life to go buy some more circles for my baby. So his death has taught me to live. And I'll never forget one of the last things he said to me. He said, Mama, you all know I've been in staffing for years. And I knew that there was a calling on my life. God was calling me. No, you're meant to speak to people, to encourage people, to inspire people. I'm like, God, I don't like social media. He's like, you like it now. And I'm like, God, but I'm a broken vessel. I don't have nothing to give. He's like, I can use that broken vessel. I'm like, but God, I'm private. I can't mix corporate with this. You can't be doing that. And God's like, you can now. Right? So I started my podcast, Unlocking Greatness Podcast. I never forget my son said to me after the podcast had been up maybe not even a year and a half, 2 years, not even. He said, Mom, and I didn't even know it had grown to the top, 10, 15% of podcasts in the country. I had no idea. He said, Ma, don't ever stop doing this. My friends even listen to you, Mama. You're changing a lot of lives all over the world. You're helping people. And I said, son, I didn't even know you were listening. It's one of the last things he said to me, Mama, please don't ever stop. And I made that decision. I'm going to maximize the use of this precious time I've been given. I wish I had more time with you all, but let me just tell you this. It's going to be scary. You may lose a lot of money. Family members may think, what is wrong with you? How are you doing a cooking class and you were a corporate this or that? I'm telling you, the whole world is going to be like, what is wrong with you? But I'm telling you as a living example, the amount of freedom that I have, the gifting and the anointing to be able to do what I do and seeing the lives that has changed, I'm using my circles. I'm sorry, I'm using mine. And I pray today as you walk out this little room and you put your titles back on, I pray to God that you don't trade those circles for something of less value. You all told me in the beginning of this speech, I don't know why I'm bending over. This whole time I could have been doing this. This entire time I'm bending over and I'm like, just adjust the mic, girl. But anyway, got me crying. You all told me in the beginning of this presentation, and I looked at you in the face when you said this, that when I offered you $10 for the most expensive thing you had, you said you wouldn't do it. So my question is, when you walk your butt out this room, and I mean that with love and respect, by the way, that's how I talk to people. When you walk your butt out of this room, so if the most valuable thing you own, you wouldn't trade it for $10, and if you wouldn't come and get this $50 million check I'm trying to give you, if you would just give me all your time, what are you going to be trading your precious time for moving forward? Spend some time listening to what that stranger just said to you and make a decision. You know what? It's not even guaranteed I have even these circles left. But I'm going to maximize the use of my time. And it's going to be scary. And I may have to get some help. Or I may have to get a mentor. I may have to get whatever. But I only have so many circles left. And the last time I checked, you couldn't buy circles. Anyway, I love you all. I pray you've been encouraged. My name is Zenja Glass. Thank you for having me speak this year at the 2024 ISSA. I love you all. I'm going to close this out. Love you. Let me end this live because they will get to talking to me. I love you all. I can't interact. I've got to interact with the crowd. Love you all. Bye-bye.